we have, let me pull it up. So someone submitted the assignment, and we'll move on from there. Let me add it to the collection of what I have here, and then we can move on. We stopped at being able to, as an ability for us to be able to set up a Vite system, Node.js. So those are the things that we should be able to do by now. We should be able to do that comfortably. Okay, so the file is kind of big, which is okay. That's 18 megabytes of file. By now we should learn how to use Git by now. I have a video on Git, so you guys should go and check it out. So I'm gonna add it to the project that I have. I have a project running here already. So I'm gonna add it to this place. So this is the assignment, and we're gonna look at it together. So just ignore what you're seeing on the right hand side for now. That's the app that I was running before now. And we kind of touch base on it a little bit, just to take a look at what's going on there. I want to make sure that what you guys are seeing is a little bit clearer. It's clear. I'm having a feeling like it's not sharp. Okay, so I think it's sharper now. So let's go ahead with what I was talking about. This is the app. Let me close everything that we have here so that we can start afresh and you guys can have a sense of what is going on. Let's increase the font a little bit. On the bottom left hand side are the projects that we have. This is the assignment that someone did, which we are going to look at it. Remember what I asked you guys to do is not just to set up Vite alone. You need to put something into it. You need to create a site out of it, something small that you have done before in previous times. That's the idea. So let's see what was, what this person was able to do. So this is Node.js, but I want to initialize it. It's called my app. That's what he called it. Let's go into it. If you set up your node, your projects, having so many projects into it, you have something like this. I'm gonna put up this and do npm install, which will not necessarily do anything much. It's just to install the npm and also get anything that this person might have used that is not in my own system, and it's going to put it here inside the npm. When you are sharing your assignment to me, you can delete this guy. You can delete this. Let me show you something. I just deleted the node modules. You could actually delete it and send it like this without the node module. The node module itself contains a lot of stuff. It's a package manager, so I can get the node module back by just doing npm install, right? And then what happened? It gets the node module back, and you can get to see. Okay, so let me check what's happening to the screen then. Let me use another method to render my screen. I'll be going through. I think this should be better then. So let's move on. Okay, so I was talking about the npm stuff, like not necessarily sending the node modules alongside what it is you are doing. because sometimes this part might be very, very large. Now that we are done with that, the next thing is for us to run dev, npm run dev, npm run dev. Once I do this, my Vite is available for us to run at that extension or that URL. We have localhost 5173. Let's say this what the fellow has done for us. And I open VS browser. I'm assuming that you guys have VS browser by now. If you don't have it, go and download it in the extension section. Go to the extension, download VS browser. So it allows you to see, get everything in the same page. Now this is what has been done. Let's take a good look at it. I can remove all this. Now, okay. Remember what we did the last time? We did something like this the last time in terms of, we did a site like this, portfolio site. Remember I told you guys to do portfolio sites. So I think I remember this design somehow. I think so. So there's a lot of things missing here. It's not coming out the way it's supposed to be. I'm assuming there's supposed to be a banner here. I'm assuming, and this is not rendering, in a good fashion. So let's try and see what has been done. Let me see what this person did inside. So this is not properly aligned. You can see this one, this is not properly aligned. So that's why I try to stretch it to see what's going on. Even though when it's fully stretched, this is not aligned properly. This should be like in the middle, align in the middle. There's a stuff for that. Okay, that being said, let's go through the code. That is the interesting part. Let's see what has resulted into this and how you decided to organize all the things that you organize. Entry code for us is index.html, which we don't necessarily need to do anything here. Most times you come in here to load something that will be available for everybody, like Bootstrap or global JavaScript, that you want to make applicable to all your application. Most times you won't touch this place. So these are the place where you set your favor icon and what have you. You do that from the entry point, but the main business starts from app.jxs. This is where the big deal starts from. And there's a good reason why I ask you guys to go and, work with what you've done before. You get to see how you create components from HTML tag. So you can see that this is more like, it's looking like HTML, kind of, where you have the open tag, right? And then the close tag, like something that doesn't have close, tag, you have like this. And of course, that doesn't mean that you can't do this way. You can also do this way. But the purpose of you doing it this way is because you want to put a content inside here. And the tag you've designed, literally does not work this way. If it's something that works this way, that's fine. You can do that. So remember that I was, hell bent on telling you guys that you must close your tag, you must close your tag, you must close your tag. This is the reason. If you do something like this, do you see what happened? It messes up your code. Your tag must be closed when you are dealing with React. That's JXS. Component. When you're creating component using JXS, you must have a fully closed tag. This is the benefit of all those talks I've been having with you guys. Now having our app is the entry point of the whole thing. And I will just focus on little things here. Even though I know that there is a main.jx, which I didn't talk about as well, I skip it. Main.jx is also an entry point where you can set some high-level stuffs. This strict mode says that your app should be strict in terms of what it requires in the coding aspect, like what it can take and what it cannot take. That's what this part does. So you do a high-level stuff here. So let me explain what I mean by high-level stuff. You see all these ones say create, document, element, root, render. This is, high-level stuff, and it must be there. It's required. So you starting in from app makes it clean. This is clean. You are dealing with your own code, even though this is also your own code. But most times these are high-level stuffs you want to put down here, and then you focus on going down and then writing your app inside here. I'll show you guys another one that I did, an app that I did using ReactJS, and then you guys are going to see the difference from what you're having now and then what you eventually will get in the future. Okay, What has been done here was to create a kind of header section and a body section, which is cool, right? It gives you an idea of what is happening. This header section, I'm assuming, is taking over this head and this part. There's no really divide between the head and there's a divide actually. I think this is the head, then this kind of the body, but me, I can split this into a more sections. I can say this is the header or the nav. I can say this is the nav. Here is the header. All these parts that we can argue and disagree on the nomenclature, but this whole thing can be the header, this section can be the banner, this part can then be the body, and then this part can be the footer. So you can have various sections and then you break them down and you independently do what you need to do. So if I come here and click on header, you can control and click your mouse here to see what is happening in the header part. And before we go into that, let's look at the folder structure. Before we delve deep into what has happened there, let's look at the folder structure. The SRC, that's the source, is where all your code will sit in. You can structure it anyhow you want in terms of adding more folders. Any way you want to structure it is on you. Anyhow you do it, as long as it makes sense to you, right? You are not, it's not giving you a rigid structure. Don't look at it that it has to be in a particular pattern also. Just flow first, flow, later on you can start cleaning things up and deciding that, oh, this is where I want to put this is where I want to put this, and what have you. So you can say you want to create a folder called components, even though everything is a component, or create a folder called, say this is page, and say this one are sections, and these ones are widgets, or whatever you want to call it, or these ones are utility kind of stuff. So let's look at the header. If we click on the header, we are presented with a whole lot of stuff like, but before I go into header, let me delete the header and see what the header contains. So if you remove the header, it will give you an idea what the header was doing. So from all this part up was the header. So this other part was the footer. And I saw an error, not really an error, a kind of a character display inside there. We'll get to look at it when we look at the code. So let's go and see what's happening inside the header. Now the header contains quite a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on here in the header section. A lot, you can tell a lot of stuff is going on, and you can further divide it. So from here, from the top part to the bottom here happens to be the header. You can, you will agree with me that you can also extract the navigational or the menu from the header to use it to create subcomponents. The idea of creating subcomponents so that you can have individual things and easily navigate to a code to be able to do what you need to do. Okay, let's go ahead and do some stuff. Okay, you did make use of a picture, but it didn't show. Let me see if you have the picture there. Good. Let's use this as a learning point to also explain how you can make images show. I think maybe you struggle with it a little bit, but your logo was showing, which is okay. You would have used that method that allowed the logo to show to allow this body to show, but we'll get into it and then we'll fix what is going on there. So I will not break this down into subcomponents. If you can create a header, you can create, okay, let's just do it. Let's just create subcomponents. And so how do you do that? You can create the component inside this file, right? Or you create it inside another file. You could literally create a new file and call it menu. So for the fun of it, let me just call it nav. So JXX. So that's nav. And then we should know the process for writing all these things. There's a pattern, export default function. What's the function name? Nav. It must, carry the name of the file like so. And then it follows by your return, and you have this, tag based returning things. You are returning an element, or in this case, a component. So I can just go and extract all the things that I feel, falls in between the nav section. So these are the nav. You can see all the nav guys. I can just call all these guys. Very easy. Just remove it and just write nav here, just for it to display on the right hand side here. That gives me like this where I'm going to put my nav. Then come in here and dump all the nav guy that I copy. So I have this guy returning nav like this. I can then go and import it from here. Import, you use the same name from nav. Then I can make sure that it's called properly like so. So we'll scatter things a little bit, but we're gonna fix it. Let's start from the whole thing has scattered. Now it's very important that as you build your React application or widget, a lot of things are gonna be happening, and it's very good for you to pay attention to what is going on. Very important for you to pay attention. So let's start gradually. You have your IDE to help you to address things that might go wrong. So let's start with the nav here. The nav is being used here, but you saw that picture is being used inside nav, but picture is not defined. So we don't need picture inside header anymore. What do? We remove this picture guy and we go and put it inside our nav section. So it becomes part of what is needed for nav to function. It becomes part of what is needed for nav to function. You saw the picture, briefly, and then it went away. Don't worry, we're going to fix that picture part. Okay, I think we're done on this part. And the header, let me see why it's giving that red sign. So let's see what we need to clear. So this is the reason why it's giving that red sign. Just fix what it's talking about. Let me see what it's saying. So you can't have that special character there. You can't have that special character there. I will explain that in some other class. You can't have that in a special character there. So I've gotten rid of the character, and like I said, I will explain in another class. I don't want to spend so much time explaining that in this class. Let's move ahead. So what I just did was to wrap it around curly braces and backtick, and then it allows me to have this character inside there. Now we're trying to resolve the picture thing that is coming up here. One of the issue, there are so many ways to bring in picture into your system. So many ways. The easiest thing you can do is to put your picture inside public folder. And I explained this. Just put your picture inside public. Very simple. Don't put it inside assets. For now, don't put it inside assets. Put it inside where? Inside public. So what was this one? It's called minimalistic. So let's put minimalistic inside public, and then let's see what happens. Of course, it's going to scatter a lot of things, but don't worry, we'll get to it. When you see things like this, don't let it don't be discouraged when you see errors like that. Don't be discouraged. So of course, you know that we've done something, that's why it went off. The system was trying to refer to something that does not exist, right? It's trying to point to something that does not exist. In this case, whatever is in public is accessible to you directly. You don't need to import it because it's in public. So I don't need to import it, really. So how then do I make use of it? You just go there and just specify the name of the file. And the name of the file is minimalistic. Let me just copy it there. JPEG. Minimalistic JPEG. So let's have it there. JPG. My image is not showing. What's happening? Minimalistic. Let me check the inspect. Okay. This, you might think it's not showing, but it's actually showing. I was beginning to doubt my own code. So it's actually showing, but it's so big. The image is so big that you can't actually see it. So what I need to do is that I need to make the image small. How? As I make the image something that you can work with. The image that you've provided is so big. So there are so many methods in which you can do this. You can attach this to your CSS and of course specify a fixed width or make it cover. There are so many ways you can do this. Remember we did CSS and there are ways you can do this. What you just did here was to, okay, you have this class called design. Let's see what you did inside this class called design. Let me see what you did inside the design class. So you just specify, you didn't do anything about image here. You just specify the design class, but there's something wrong with that image. That image is so big. Let's go back and kind of reduce the image. So I just want to show you that the image is there. Let's put it like 200 pixels. Okay, that's not the image controlling what it is we are doing. In fact, what I'm changing is something different. What I'm changing is something different. I need to even know what I'm changing. So first of all, what I'm changing is the logo. Is the logo I've been messing with, but let me be sure. Yeah, logo is what I've been changing. Okay. This is the logo, not what we are doing. So if I come here, yeah, that's the logo. The logo is what we've been looking at. Now let's look at the background that is not showing very well. And that is under the header part. So who is responsible for this? So of course it's added as a background. One of the way I can look for it easier is to look at all the pictures that was used. Okay, so this is the picture that was used, lady, and I guess it's very big. So I'm going to look for where you use lady in the system, and it was added underneath this part. So you made a cover, then you can specify the background size. So the background size was not specified. That's why you have, you know, what you have there. So if you have 300, you have something like this, which is not what you're looking for. Let me do 100%. So this is 100%. And you can also do something and say no repeat. I've already taught you guys this one. So you have something like this. Your image should match what it is you are trying to display. So this should be here, obviously, should be in this place, not where it is on the bottom. So whatever design that you are going for needs to be adjusted to meet up what it is that you've designed here. Another thing maybe you were doing is you were designing for a large screen. You should always design for all screens. So by default, this should, you know, be aligned on the top, not on the bottom. So I need to look at the structure of what you've done here to be able to pinpoint what is going on. So your structure here is not well done. That's why you have that movement going on there. So you have row, hero. But the funny thing is that on a very big screen, it's looking nice. So on a big screen, it's looking nice on a big screen, but on a small screen, it's not. So you need to pay attention to all the screen. And that's why we did talk about Bootstrap, you know, so that you get to learn about how to move items in a way that, you know, you want them to go. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. And that's everything we have for this. How long have we spent? We've done like 20 minutes. We've done like 20 minutes. So you have something called box. Okay. This is the body part. I won't spend time here. This footer can be a component on its own. just the way I've removed nav from header. It can also be on its own. So what I want to show you is just to show you a completed system to some point, so that to give you an idea of what you should be looking at, right? So let me show you something that I'm designing at the moment. So this is the app. I will just go to index, or before I go to the app, there's something I want to show you guys. It's an extension. You can install it, and the extension is called npm script. It's called npm script. So where do you get it from? From your extension, obviously. Here, just type npm script. I'll tell you what it does. So this is it here. It has 67,000 download. That's how you can easily track it. 67,000 downloads. And let me now show you what is used for. Notice that every time we want to run all these things, we do npm run dev blah 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 blah, right? So by default, your JSON package comes with this stuff. You know, these are the scripts you can run on your npm sites. You can do npm, when you do npm.dev, npm run dev, this is what you are calling. You are literally calling Vite. You've not been using all these ones, but don't worry, right? So this one you've been calling npm run dev, npm run dev. So if you don't want to type it, you can just come here at the bottom here and do, and just click. Once you come to this guy here, you just click dev like this, and then it will execute that command for you. So if I just click like this, so you can see that it has executed this page for me and is running another node server. The other one was 3, this one is 517. So I can pop this up and then we can continue our demonstration. So this is just a shopping site, nothing serious, right? And it allows to do all these things. This is a full React app, and it's for shopping, e-commerce, and what have you. So I'll show you the structure of the whole thing. So let me show you the structure of this stuff. Now, look at what I've structured here. I have something I called, let me leave it open. Left. So you can stay by this side. Okay, so let me show you what I've done. Like I said, don't let all these things overwhelm you. Just focus on the whole thing. This is the index. We are aware of the index. And what I've been able to do, I just put the brand, nothing special here. The next thing is the main. The main is a high level scope of where you can put everything that needs to show. So you can see that I put, you know, CSS, CSF. I even put CSS here, and then I put, because I use Bootstrap icon and all that there. And you're going to be learning about React browse routes later in the class. I think that's one of the last lesson you're going to be learning. Routes is the last thing you're going to be learning in React, right? And yeah, so this is what you have in your own. So mine now have these browse routes. What this allows you to do is to be able to go to different pages on the app. That's the purpose of this guy. So then let's enter the app and see what's going on in the app. In the app, there are several things, right? Several things. What this does is, okay, I will not show you too much so that you don't get confused. But let me show you things that are interesting. Like I have a component that does loading. Very, very interesting. The component is just to load, as in to show loading. Imagine it's a spinner to just show that something is loading. So if I try to get something from the database and the stuff is not around, it's kind of load. Do you see that? Did you see that, you know, spinner? There's one spinner that, you know, shows in the middle of the screen. Yeah. This is actually trying to get something from the server. And this is the guy responsible for showing that spinner. And if I want to change something in the future, the way the spinner works or the color of the spinner. Where is it? Yeah, this is the color of the spinner. It's called text that muted. So I can say danger, for example, and danger means red in what? In Bootstrap. We all know that. Did you guys see that? So that's the idea of React and having its component base. Everywhere I've used loading now, for example, we carry anything that I've set to carry. And this comes with functions to say, oh, okay, this loading, I want it to take full page, or this loading, I want it to just take a very small portion of the screen, right? That's, you know, stuff that I did there. Then I also wrote, no, let me ignore this one. I will ignore this one. These ones are advanced. I'll just go to the things that are very, very easy to understand. Okay, so I did a sign-in page. This one too. I don't add so many things for this one, so I will not explain them. Aha, so I like this one. So this is a function that allows me, or a page that allows me to show something that does not exist. If you try to access a page that does not exist, what will happen? It will pop up that page. So of course this page does not exist. So once you do that, it shows this page does not exist. So anytime you try to access something that does not exist, this will happen. Notice the way I brought in the picture. Very easy. I don't need to be importing anything I need like this. Importing is fine. There, you should know when to need to use all those importing stuff. Look at what I did. All the images I need, or I used, kind of, I put them inside public. Like I said, put all your images in the public. Then you will not ask me, then what did I now put in the asset? Good. In the asset, I put my CSS there. I put my CSS in the asset here. And the reason why I did this is because when you are building, your tools are supposed to be minimized or something. That's a long story for when you are deploying. Okay, do you guys have any question before we move on to what our assignment, or rather what our next class is going to be on? I'll take question. We'll just go ahead and ask your question, please. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let me re-echo your question again. So your question is that you have okay, let me say the way you say it. You have a component, or you have a feature in a site that is a match, you know, football field or football setup, you know, betting platform, when if, you know, you can bet on the first and second half, but once first half has finished, you can't bet on first half again. It becomes disabled. That's pretty simple. That's pretty simple. So I will just try and explain it in this form, whereby you have components that has two sides or two sections to it. Components, I'm looking for a way to say it. You have component A, component first half. Okay, let's say first part, and then you have second part. So there is a flag somewhere. There's a flag somewhere that says either it is true or false. there's a flag somewhere. Just know that there's a flag. There's something that's controlling it that, you know, make this thing active or not. So let me show you a component that I designed. So maybe that will help you. When you are trying to design a specific component like you've tried to demonstrate, it goes beyond just what you are seeing. There's a lot of stuff that was done on the background. When I mean a lot of stuff, it's not that it's something so techy like that. But let me give you an idea. So if I say sign in and I put something like this, right? And then you can see that it's requiring me to put an email address. So, but immediately I have an email address, it's okay. You know, it's okay with it. Yeah, so these are just checks that the system does. Now, let me tell you how that check can be done, for example, for your first half and second half. It will be a timing based stuff. It can be checking with the time of the computer, which might not be that a good one to do, or it will be checking from a result from the backend. Obviously, the backend would have any time, because note that you're on the client side. Very important to know, you're on the client side. There are two parts to computer or to web development. There are two parts. There's the client side and there's the server side. The client side is not trustworthy. You don't trust what is coming from the client side. Anything can go wrong from the client side. But the server side is the truth. The server side is the truth. So once the game is over, what do you think will happen? The server will send a message to the front end and say what? First half is over. Because you, as a client, can manipulate that interface and go and change something from the interface and say, no, it is not over. As you guys will notice, we can do inspect elements and change some things, right? But every time the server will keep pushing things to you. The server is the true source that pushes what is happening to you. So even if you manipulate anything and you try to place a bet, it will tell you that first halves are finished, even though you've manipulated the interface to show you that there's still first half. If you try to send it to the server, it will not accept. So let me try and, you know, paint a picture here. If I'm trying to do something here, I put this information and I put this here and I send. This is literally going to the server. The server holds the truth. No matter what it is you have here, this interface does not matter. The server does not know what is happening in the interface, as in the front end. The backend just wants information or just want data. Once you give the backend data, it will also respond to you. Based on these two information that I gave to it, that is why it gave me this information. Right, so we can try something else. Let me try and create an account. Even, yeah, I've done this one. So this account already exists. If you try to do something like this, it will tell you that user already exists, right? So you cannot fool the backend. You can fool the front end and, you know, do all sort of things. Maybe you are trying to place a bet, like for example, now I'm trying to bet, and then you've already tell they've closed out. Or is this even registration, for example? Maybe registration has closed. You didn't come on time. Registration closes 12 and you came 12:01. Where do you think the check is going to be done on? It's going to be done on the back end to check if it's really 12:01. You know, so in terms of the interface works with the back end to render the correct thing. So at that point that you are saying that the first tasks are finished, is sending updates back to what? To the application, to the front end, to update the interface. So I will see if we can have an example to demonstrate that. I will see if we can do an example. Another way is we did something. One of the videos you should see is when we did shopping carts, when you can add an item. So for example, now if we have let's go to this app. If we come here and we say add to cart, do you get this number? You should increase the number here. So how does the system knows that it has to? So there's so many things that you can ask. So for me, it's not about how, it's having the fundamental knowledge of all these things, then you can do anything. Having the fundamental knowledge of how these components relate to each other. You know how to disable components now. You know how to, we did that in JavaScript, right? So you will need to get information to know when to disable stuffs. If you get information from the server, you can be refreshing the page and say, oh, has the information changed from the server? Is it first as finished? If the server says yes, first has finished, then this should always be disabled. Bet should not be allowed. So that's pretty simple process. Okay, I think I've logged that one. I think I hope you get the point. Yeah. Any other question? If there's no question, we'll be ending the class for today. But before we end the class, let me show you guys the next stuff to go and watch. Our next class. But I'm gonna send the class in the okay, let me just go to the place. So let me go to the video. Okay, so I will send the video to you guys. I will send the videos to you guys. So that will be all for tonight. If there's no other question, I will be sending the video to you guys so that you guys can review. Good night, guys. See you on Wednesday. Okay, guys, if you're on TikTok, if it's your first time, let me know. Please send in likes. Let other people know that we're here. They've given us a strike. I don't know why. I just saw a strike on my YouTube. Thank you very much for the likes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.